Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out Gala's price chart and see what is going on in like very short time. And at the beginning of the video, I'm actually going to cheer you up a little bit before I sort of kind of let you down, because the picture in like very short term, depending on whether you are a short-term trader or maybe a mid-term investor, may or may not be necessarily optimistic. So let's talk about the bullish side of stuff. And in the midterm, in Gala, in my view, we are having a correction down, hopefully in form of a WXY, in form of a double zigzag. This is our second zigzag right in here, and for our wave X, I think there is no point denying the fact that this is a beautiful ABC as well. Also, in the long term, back in this phase in, let's say, from 2020 to about December of 2021, if you want to say we did have a move on the upside, an initial move in here, well, okay, I guess you can argue this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Personally, I would like to go with this chart and say, you know what, these are the sub waves for probably an A, B, C zigzag. So what do you have overall? My base case suggests that in Gala, this is ABC up followed by a correction down in form of a double zigzag, and we are going to have yet another great move on the upside, but that move might end up being just a simple, A, B, C zigzag as opposed to a 5 wave. And for example, I actually do see a scenario where in it, you're just going to get this huge 5 wave up in this cycle, and then the next wave down into your wave B might be the next bear market, and then followed by that you can have another move up into wave C. This is also a possibility. And by the way, I actually forgot to tell you this. If you are going to have something like this, in order to complete the subwaves for a WXY in form of a double zigzag, okay, into your wave A, there is a good argument to be made for Gala not to take the highest high all the way up here about 71 cents, and that's like a 70x move on the upside from the current point. I think for our wave A, makes sense to expect a good move in Gala in order to possibly reach to somewhere around these areas, about, I'm gonna say, somewhere between 12 to 15 cents, and there's like a very high chance that we are going to take all these highs as well, which the highest high is somewhere around 9 cents area. Basically, we can expect by the end of this cycle something like a 10x move on the upside, which is, from my POV, number one, very much realistic, number two, definitely not that bad. So the overall picture, do not get me wrong, is optimistic and fantastically bullish. Now, having said that, in the short term, I actually don't mind if I see a move on the downside. Why? Let's zoom in more. Okay. First things first, in case you are a new viewer and you don't know what is going on in here, you see, a lot of the times you are going to see me saying whenever we are having a massive move down followed by an immediate bounce back, and when you go on some higher time frames, you realize that this is like a massive shadow. Okay, around the shadow, as a result of our bounce back happening way too fast, we have created some major gaps, and in my view, gaps 95+% of the time are going to get filled. So in most cases, I'm saying, you know what, we are going to have a move down in order to reach to about the lows and fill all the gaps, and then we can have a fantastic bounce. However, in the recent crashing event, not only in Gala, but also I'm going to say in a lot of other altcoins, I'm going to argue this did not happen naturally. And I think you know it if you are active on Twitter. There was some major trickery going on with Binance. So what is it that I'm trying to tell you? Look, I'm trying to say I don't really believe that in Gala and in a lot of other alts, we are going to have some insane moves on the downside in order to fill the gaps all the way down here. And in case of Gala, it's somewhere around, let's say, 0.3 of a cent, meaning from the current point, we're going to end up having something like a 70% move on the downside. I think these prices are probably gone for like a very long time, if not even forever. Having said that, now let's zoom in and see what is happening. And in terms of Elliott waves, if you want to be bullish and you want to say maybe we have hit the lows in Gala, then okay, you need to be able to find off of the lowest low, let's say in this region, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on the upside. This specific structure is called an impulse. Rules for it are, we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, our wave 3 should not be the smallest wave, and when it comes to the sub waves, you know it, we must be able to find, let's change the colors, 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. And for our corrective movements, for wave 2 and 4, we can have different scenarios. Doesn't really matter. Let's say WXY into 4 and maybe an ABC into wave 2. Now let's go on the live chart and see what is happening. And in my view, there's like a very good chance that in Gala, we are having in this region, maybe, excuse me, I just took the wrong object, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, another move up into wave 5 to about this point. Let's say this was an ABC flat for 4, and this white 5 wave is going to be into a larger degree wave 3, followed by a correction for 4, and yet another move up into wave 5. So the fact that in our initial bounce after the crashing event, we are having a 5 wave is a great sign, suggesting the bottom is in. Having said that though, I don't really think that we are going to, for example, from here get a straight move on the upside. I mean, do not get me wrong. The last time that we talked about Gala, I think we were right around these areas, and the idea was that this can be 5 wave up followed by a correction down, hopefully in form of an ABC zigzag to about here, and we can say, you know what, the bottom is in, and maybe on a higher degree, this is like a 1, 2, and what's next? Fantastic move up into wave 3, 4, 5. But right now, based on what I'm seeing, this may not necessarily be my primary case. Why is that? It all, in my view, comes down to this initial phase off of this important low. Why? Because, answer me this please, how exactly are you able to find a 5 wave in order for you to be bullish in Gala in this phase? I think finding an impulse in here is so challenging to a degree that is probably going to make me say, you know what, this isn't a 5 wave, this is just an ABC zigzag up. And also pay attention, the next phase down, in my view, there's also a very high chance that is in form of an ABC. And we also said that at the beginning of the video, this is ABC down as well. There we go, ABC. So what is going on in here? Well, believe it or not, this is also, in my view, another ABC zigzag up. This might end up being an ABC down, and I think soon we are going to get maybe like a very small bounce in form of an ABC, but then yet another move down. And have a guess what the shape of that move is going to look like. Yup, you are absolutely genius. It's also going to be in form of an ABC zigzag. So on a higher degree, what is happening in this area? In my view, probably from this point, a correction has started in Gala. And in terms of Helios waves, these are actually the sub waves, probably for an A, B, C, D, E, a triangular structure, and we are going to have another ABC down. And at that point, even on a higher degree, we're going to say, you know what, in Gala, good news, we have completed the subwaves for a WXY in form of a double zigzag. This is the best scenario that I can come up with. I mean, sure, if you really want to force a bullish case in here in order to be absolutely objective, you know what, fair enough, more power to you. At that point, you have to consider the possibility of having a series of 1-2s. And let's go now maybe on a less busy chart, maybe from Binance itself. There we go. So you see, if you really want to be optimistic and you want to say the bullish case is going to be your primary scenario, you know what, you should probably say that we are having 5 up to about this point into a wave 1, correction for 2, and what's next? Great move up into wave 3, 4, 5, which on a higher degree has to be into this wave 3, and then correction for 4, another move up into wave 5, and even that one on a higher degree, guess what, is going to be into this wave 3 and 4 and 5. Is this scenario possible? The answer is yes. Is it likely? Based on what I'm seeing in terms of subwaves, I'm going to argue this scenario probably should be, at least for me, you can have a different opinion. I absolutely respect yours, but for me, this should probably be my alternate case, suggesting, yeah, you know what, in Gala right now, in a very short term, if you are a trader, you need to be a bit more patient and careful and expect another move on the downside, and then you can go long in here in hope that we get yet another great move on the upside. Overall, do not get me wrong, I still believe in some sort of a V-shaped recovery, and I think soon this whole phase is going to come to an end and we are going to get a move on the upside. But it definitely seems like that this move up in Gala, maybe not necessarily actually in a lot of other altcoins, is taking a bit of time, but that's absolutely fine. Now, in terms of what I'm doing, well, in the previous video and also on Twitter, if you are following me, right when we got this crashing event, I tweeted, you know what, I actually bought Gala somewhere around the 0.6 of a cent area, and my average purchase based on that magnificent buy is now somewhere around 1.1 cents. So basically right now I'm break even. But does this mean right in here for me is a buy opportunity? I don't really think so. If we get another move down in form of an ABC and take this low about, let's say, 1 cent region, okay, that is going to be yet another great buy opportunity, and I'm just going to buy the dip one by one in hope that we get a fantastic move up, because honestly, if we are going to have an alt season, I think Gala is going to be one of those projects that is going to participate in that alt season, and in that case, well, the risk to reward ratios are absolutely insane. If I want to buy Gala right around here, let's say about the 1 cent region, my stop loss can be, let's be even generous, let's say somewhere around the 0.3 of a cent area under these lows. At that point, I'm having about a 0.7 of a cent in terms of stop loss. On the other hand, what's my target? Let's be even generous and say, you know what, we're not even going to reach to about the 10 cents region. We're just going to go and reach to about 8 cents. Okay. At that point, in terms of stop loss, I'm having a 0.7 of a cent stop. On the other hand, for my target, I'm having a 7 cents target, meaning what? My risk to reward ratio is somewhere around 1 to 10, which is insanely good. And this is actually one very important reason for why in the mid to long term, I do like to be optimistic in Gala and call for some good move on the upside. And the fact that Elliott waves also sort of kind of supports that thesis is definitely another cherry on top. So overall, I am still bullish in here, but you know what, in the short term, in the next couple of days, let's have another move down, and then we are going to make new updates and see what might be the next likely move. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Gala. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.